Well, former minority owner of the Washington Redskins, Fred Smith, has passed away. We're going to get into that starting right now. And welcome back to another video here on the Washington Football Maniacs YouTube channel. My name is Greg and I am your host here. Of course, this channel is dedicated to news and commentary for your Washington Commanders. If you're down with that, please make sure that you have subscribed to the channel and also make sure that you hit that notification bell so you won't miss any other video releases. So Frederick Smith was the executive founder and executive chairman for FedEx. Now, if you remember, of course, the FedEx company had the naming rights to the field for a number of years. I want to say it was, what was it? It was between, let me see if I can find it. It was between 1999 and 2024, of course. The field was originally named Jack Kent Cooke Stadium in honor of the late great Jack Kent Cooke, of the owner of the Washington Redskins, and then they renamed it to FedEx. Of course, we started seeing a lot of these big corporations taking the naming rights of stadiums across the league. And you may ask, why is this? I hate this. I enjoyed listening or watching games when it was like Candlestick Park and Soldier Field, and now it's like AT&T Stadium, Northwest Stadium. What is happening? Well, basically, these franchises, when they give the naming rights to these sponsors, they get a lot of kickback. They get a lot of money. I mean, a lot of money. And so, because of that, you start to see stadiums, pretty much every single stadium around the league, maybe with the exception of a stadium here and there, and maybe not now that I know of, that I can think right off the top of my head, are all named after sponsors. They get millions of dollars back from this, and it's easy money. Just slap their name on the stadium and go with it. But FedEx certainly had that naming right for years, up until basically right after the Washington Commanders, or the Washington Redskins at that time, lost their names. Had to retire their name. So yeah, it was 2024 actually when FedEx pulled out. This was around the time, of course, when new ownership had taken over, and at that point, Smith and Company said no more. And I'm not sure what the reasoning behind that was, but certainly Fred Smith was behind. He was probably the catalyst in getting Dan Snyder out of Washington. Of course, Frederick Smith was one of the owners, minority owners of the Washington franchise, and he was, he put a lot. He led the charge really on the pressure of, okay, Daniel, if you're not going to sell your share to the minority owners, then we're going to pressure you financially to change the name. That was something that had obviously always been very near and dear to Dan Snyder's heart, was the name. You remember, in bold-faced letters, he was going to say, "We will never change the name of the Washington Redskins," and you can put that in bold face. Well, name got changed. Why? Because of financial threats, I guess, for lack of better terms. But, again, Fred Smith was like, okay, I'm going to take something away from you. And of course, Dan Snyder went and borrowed all this money to buy out his minority owners. So I guess Fred Smith was still a little bitter with that. And so when the new ownership came in, things had been accomplished. I don't know any of the background as far as if any of the former minority owners were wanting a piece of the pie when the Harris Group came in, but obviously they were not part of the group with Josh Harris and Company and Magic Johnson. So they decided in 2024 they were pulling out of the sponsorship for the name of the stadium. So the stadium was without a name for a few months, and then Northwest came in, provided sponsorships to the team for the name. And of course, that is what this field is named for right now, Northwest Stadium, and kind of has a nice ring to it for the next 4 years or so, 4 or 5 years, until hopefully we are going to get a new stadium. Of course, we're going to have to talk about that as well because there's been some hold up with that. It seems as if nothing can ever really truly go as planned when you're making deals, but that's just it. The Washington Commanders, of course, released a statement regarding the passing of Fred Smith. Washington Commanders mourn the passing of Frederick W. Smith, FedEx founder and executive chairman. Mr. Smith was highly respected philanthropist. I can't ever. I suck at the English language. I really do. I mean, people need an interpreter when I talk. So, an innovative businessman whose investment once included a minority stake in the team. He also proudly served our country in the U.S. Marine Corps. So, we thank him for his services to our country. We send our sincere condolences to Mr. Smith's family and loved ones, as well as our friends across the FedEx organization. Very classy by um, Josh Harris and company to release this statement. And just so far, everything that you feel like Josh Harris has done has been a calculated move, but very classy. We're not used to this. We're always in the past we were used to, like, if this had happened while Dan Snyder was still owner, there would have been nothing. There would have been no statements, nothing from the team. And despite what has happened, and again, I don't know what the relationship necessarily was between Harris and Smith, whether if there actually was ever a relationship, because obviously by that point, Smith was no longer a minority owner of the team. But still, very classy move by Josh Harris to release a statement of, his condolences to Mr. Smith, family, loved ones, and certainly the FedEx organization. So, there you have it. It's going to be, I guess, as far as FedEx goes, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I don't know if he has family that. Is working within the ranks of the sea level there that's going to take over. But we certainly, from this channel, of course, we certainly provide our condolences. Obviously, a polarizing figure in the sense that a lot of fans who were, of course, huge Redskins fans who hated to see the name go, and we kind of felt in a way that Fred Smith was directly responsible for forcing Dan Snyder's hand to retire the name and the logo. So you have some bitterness amongst some of the fans, especially the fans who are all Redskins or nothing type of fans. So it's a bittersweet with that. I think. I think it was something that had to be done to get Dan Snyder out of there. Of course, Snyder came up with the Commander's name. There's still some bitterness with that. Bittersweet. There are some fans who have embraced it 100%. There's other fans who have not. But I mean, what can you say? It is what it is at this point. But I hate saying it is what it is, but it is what it is. I really, honestly, when it comes to all this, there's a reason why a lot of this stuff is happening. Of course, we've seen pictures on Instagram, not Instagram, but well, maybe Instagram as well. Haven't really looked at Instagram that much, but certainly Twitter X. Um, Seeing Jaden Daniels all spruced up in his uniform, and then he's all holding on to the spear, and a lot of people are feeling like that the team, they're still working on the brand, right? That I don't think there's anything that says that this ownership is 100% happy with the complete branding. I think there's changes that needs to be made. I think certainly he recognizes that there needs to be some changes, and I think we're seeing that. I think a lot of this stuff is getting thrown out there to see what fans think about it. I would love to see at least. I would love to see the spear back on the helmets. I think you can do that in a way to where it works into the current brand. Of course, I've seen a lot of people. Some people get so triggered by the Native American imagery, they're like, "Remove that feather. Got to remove that feather." You know, I don't want to see that feather. That feather's tickling me. I mean, you know, whatever, whatever. I personally, if they could work the feather in and just have like the old logo like that, that would be pretty cool. Of course, I come from the era of the Blackfoot chief on the helmet. Would love to see that being representative. Why not have the spear replace the W, which honestly to me is, I know some people will just accept anything hook, line, and sinker. Obviously, for me, if I can recreate that logo in 5 minutes, I'm not a graphic designer. Then without a shadow of a doubt that it needs to be changed. It needs to be something cool. And having the spear, I think, would really help. You could do two things. You can have the spear. I don't want to see it as a throwback. I think you can have it as work it into the regular uniform, and then you could have the chief as a throwback. And that, honestly, if there's anybody out there at this point who still thinks the chief logo is a racist symbol, you got some problems. I mean, you really have a lot of, man, you need to go see a therapist. But other than that, I really interested in seeing how that's moving forward. But yeah, Fred Smith, he was definitely the one who helped to initiate the movement of removing the old brand, and of course, then he got removed. There was a lot of bitterness, obviously, that went on amongst the ownership ranks. And at this point now, we're at where we're at, right? Hey, speaking of being where you're at, if you love this channel, you really love it, why don't you consider donating to the Maniacs? You got the QR code there. Just scan that QR code with your phone, hit the pause button, scan it. Donate anything that you would like to donate to. Anything would be very appreciative. And at least if you can't donate, how about subscribing to this channel? Please make sure that you have subscribed to the Washington Commanders. Washington Commanders? Well, definitely subscribe to the Commanders, but subscribe to the Maniacs as well. Hey, it's been a while since I've been in front of the camera, so I'm trying to really knock some of the rust off. And let me tell you, I am really rusty. All right, folks, I think I'm going to end this video before I make any other weird blunders. But folks, I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, give it a like, give it a share. And with that said, I will see you in the next one. Take care.